Hey guys, Isai here. I'm actually sharing with you guys today a game that I worked on during a game jam a few months back. It was the Extra Credits very first game jam, and the theme was we had one weekend to make a game. The theme was awesome per minute, and the idea was for us was to come up with a concept where time was incredibly important, and you had to kind of really make the most of it with one simple mechanic. And so eventually we came up, we had a lot of ideas, but eventually we settled on this one, which was the idea of almost, it was an RPG that used a slot machine for the attacks. So you can kind of see the mechanics here as they go on. The first enemy is super simple. You have three options on the roulette, which are bite, which drains health from them and gives it back to you. That's your health on the bottom right. You have the makeup feature, which is pretty fun. It's kind of silly, but it's also a time waster. It's actually beneficial sometimes, as you'll see. And of course, the sword, which is just a regular old attack. And so the interesting thing is that the bite is half as strong as the attack, as the sword, and obviously the makeup doesn't do any damage, but sometimes it's useful. Like for example, see here, we just tried to attack the turtle, and it didn't work because he's inside the shell. But actually getting the makeup for once is actually useful in this case, which is interesting. A mechanic that sometimes a time waster is actually helpful here. And here it actually gets him out of his shell and allows you to attack again. And in this case, actually, what's interesting is you can see up top is the moon going through. We wanted to kind of have a visual way to tell a timer without having to, without having to have numbers involved. So in that case, actually, what's happening is obviously you're a vampire. It's called Glampire, and the idea is that you're trying to get back home before the sun shows up, and obviously vampires melt. Now this last enemy is actually really interesting. This is like a short, super short game, just to kind of show off everything. We only had a weekend, so we wanted to make it very concise and actually finished. Um, and what's interesting about this enemy is that he actually changes your roulette wheel so that there's actually these like little skulls which only hurt you. So he actually like tinkers with it. So you see what happens here is that once your health goes all the way down, you have another time punishment, which is you have to wait for it to refill, and to see the moon is still going. So there's this urgency of like, oh man, like I gotta like get back into the game so I can keep going forward. And the roulette, we made it at a place where it was fast enough that you could, if you're really good, you could time it, but it still feels kind of random. It actually is actually a sequence that repeats. I think it's like 7 or 8 sequences, so it repeats constantly actually. And that's what I found really cool is the way that these guys programmed it is so that it yeah, this whole like roulette system I think turned out really cool. So you see what's so fun is this really clutch moment at the end. You see we're trying to heal, and the sun is coming up, and so it's literally a few seconds away from game over, and we beat it. We actually do it. So you see, congratulations, you just barely made it in time. So that's the game. That's Glampire Spinphony of the Night. I really got to thank these guys here. They did such a great job. And that's it, guys.